Well, welcome back, everybody. We have three more games in the afternoon session for you. First game featuring what's becoming a famous Scrabble matchup, Jackson Smylie and Josh Sokol. And Josh asked me to point out that this is the deciding game in their head-to-head series. These two have played each other 86 times now in NASPA tournaments, and the head-to-head record between them, 42, 42, and 2. So that's as close as it could possibly be. And somebody will likely pull ahead in this one unless we get another tie, in which case, well, there'd be three ties between them. That's kind of nuts.
Well, that would be interesting to see, wouldn't it?
I'd like to see one of those games as well. Close, good Scrabble games is always more fun for me as a commentator than ridiculous, boring, stupid blowouts. So we are underway. Josh to play first. These, by the way, are the only two 9-2 players left in the division, and one of them likely to be atop by a full game after this play. This is again Matt Canik, joined by Nits Chagti. Nits, how are you doing?
Doing well. Thanks for asking, Matt. It is so good to be back here and commentating. It's fun to see Josh and Jackson go up against each other. I know this is quite a dynamic duo. They've been friends for basically forever, so I'm not surprised to see that they have 86 games between them. And I'm excited to see what this one will show us.
For sure. So Josh now 6 vowels and a Q. QI is a play he can make. He can also exchange. And then if he exchanges, is he going to hold on to QU and some vowels or not? Crucially, the I in QI would have given Jackson donation. I think everybody and their dog would say it's not good to hold 5 vowels here. But an interesting decision by Josh holding EIQU. And I agree with that decision, actually.
I like that. I like that. You know, the QU goes well together. You need an eye for good synergy, and we can see he's already picked up some really good things. But going to Jackson now, he has to make a decision. What does he want to do? I mean, I can probably see something like Tondo or Donna going down if he wants to just, get some points. But I wouldn't be surprised if he wanted to play something shorter, be a little bit more defensive, fewer floaters for Sokol to play through.
Yeah. I could see a play like Tondo. I could see a play like Donna or On2. But after an exchange 3-2, I wonder how small Jackson wants to go here. You obviously don't want to put out as many floating tiles. If Josh isn't going to draw a 7 after a short exchange, Jackson likely
Right.
thinking, well, every subsequent tile I put out gives him another shot at an 8. So I honestly wouldn't be surprised if we see something even smaller, something like an Ono, O-N-O, for just 6 points here. But I also wouldn't be surprised if we see a longer play a la Tondo or Donna here. It will be very interesting to see what Jackson decides to do. Looks like he's set up on 2 and then flipped to Ono. And I think Ono is what I would do here, albeit not with a lot of confidence.
I don't know. I perhaps might prefer something like Dawn here. I don't mind keeping, well, actually, never mind. I'm thinking in terms of Collins. My bad. Ono would be just perfectly fine here. We do see him, rearranging his rack to have Tondo on there. It's nice to have some legibility here. No shade to Noah, but it's nice to be able to read the tiles as they are. It'd be interesting to see what comes down.
Yeah, crucially, the T is going to give Josh a bingo back. So if Jackson plays the T in On2 or Tondo, Josh going to have a big play back. And otherwise, Josh going to have a more awkward position for him. So again, Jackson doesn't know how big this decision is On2 versus Ono. It looks like he's favoring On2 here, which in a vacuum I think is right. But knowing exactly what Josh has, definitely a big decision. And if you're rooting for Josh, you want that T played. If you're rooting for Jackson, you don't. Jackson back and forwards, pushes the T aside, picks it back up, pushes it aside. And eventually now he is going to play it on 2 coming down, 8 points. And that is going to give Josh the bingo back. Chat's already found it. I'll shout it out now. Pause the video if you don't want it spoiled. But here it comes.
It is coming down. Wow, immediately. This man has done his studying. Josh Sokol, as we have all known, has been doing absolutely beautifully on his games. He's been winning games and tournaments just back and forth. And for him to come down with Sequitur just immediately goes to show the amount of dedication and preparation he's put into coming to this.
Yeah, but Jackson drawing that blank is now going to have big plays back. So perhaps turning over that one extra tile is what gave him that blank. Who knows? But Jackson's going to have multiple bingos available as well. Adopting is his lower scoring bingo, but he has one that scores a little bit more. And
We
I
see
will not
Chad
say
has
that.
already found one, updating. Yes, that would
Yep.
be his highest scoring play here for 71 points, blank to the U. That is a difficult position to be looking at because what Jackson really needs to do here is look at all the tiles that are available to him on the board, look at the blank that he has, and go through all of the permutations that he has, going through all of the letters. It is, of course, easiest when you see N and G on your rack to be like, okay, let's do an ING word, which should make the rest of this easier. But he still has to go through all of these tiles, all these letters on the board, and think what is going to give me the most amount of points. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him trying to make something through the queue. But yes, we see updating going down, and that is quite decisive and his very much his highest scoring play here.
Yeah, and Josh drawing a great post bingo draw, AAEIRVW, which has a 7-letter word. You can play the same word to the S in sequitur right now. So Josh to bingo back. So we have exchange, 8-point dink, and then bingo, 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 back to back to back. And we'll see what
All we
Jackson
need
draws to see if he
now.
can make it 4 in a row. But
Yeah, we just need to see what Jackson's going to pull out of the bag. The tile gods can be quite finicky during these times.
absolutely. But Josh, his best play, Airwaves for 80 points to the S. He's also got it as a double double for 52 for those of you looking for the second best play. But if you see Airwave as a double double, you'll certainly see the bingo as well. No doubt in my mind that Josh knows and sees this word as yes, it comes down now. And Jackson's
Almost
post bingo
immediately.
draw. BERRTT and giving us a little
Oh,
Andy Huang
he just
style
needs
suspense. Oh my goodness. Oh my
just
goodness.
one
He's
more.
got it.
Oh, wow, wow.
Oh. So
The tiles were barely on. Oh, wow. He
Brattier
had
coming down
barely hit.
149 for Jackson. I want to say the
Jesus
last time these two
Christ.
played, a triple triple was also played, but they've played so many times they all run together. So exchange 8, bingo,
That
bingo,
was
bingo, and then
amazing.
triple triple for Jackson. Goodness, goodness, goodness. And Jackson
It took
didn't even
him
put the
no
last tile on
time.
his rack.
Jackson had barely put all of his tiles on the rack, and he was like, okay, time to go. Let's go. As Seal Smith so rightly points out in the chat, simply play all your tiles every turn and you win. That is exactly what is going on here. And you can see them laughing. And, you know, this banter is just evocative of how close their relationship is, how long they've known each other, how many times they've played. 86 times. This is now their 87th for their decisive final. And
No
triple,
way.
triple
Oh,
really hits that.
sorry, I thought Josh picked up an R as his last tile, giving him frameable for a 110-point double double. But no, it's a K, not an R. Okay, we won't be seeing a 5th consecutive bingo in this game.
That would have
Jackson and
been
Josh, though,
amazing.
showing you exactly what it takes to be an expert level Scrabble player. Just be exceptionally lucky when you draw your tiles and go every turn. If you aren't
Very
doing
much
that,
so.
try doing that, and you will, in fact, be a better Scrabble player.
I guess he's yeah, I mean, I guess he's really praying to the right tile gods, whoever they are. We have to ask him what he's been doing to get so lucky.
Yes,
Both of them just
absolutely.
back to back. This was so far an explosive game, just as we expected.
And Jackson going to bingo again next turn as he picks up the second blank. So blank bingo, triple triple, and another blank bingo coming for Jackson more than
Wow.
likely next turn. Josh's turn though, he's got to do his best on this move as well. ABEFKLM. Looks like his highest scoring option here is B flag. Plays to the
These are
G. 45 points. Holds KM, not super great, but 45 points, man, nothing to sneeze at. Keeps this board wide open as well. He also can consider Fleam, FLEAM, a top underneath Brattier. That scores 41. But be Flag or Fleam, almost certainly the thing to do. Josh just wants to see how open do I want this board and how scared am I of holding that KM together.
and he has quite a lot to dump. These tiles are quite clunky. It's time that he, he really needs to consider what can he absolutely not keep on his rack, because the next move he's going to be stuck with them again. There's a time when your word knowledge, your preparation really comes in handy, and we can see Josh going down with Beflag. So he, like he's done his preparation. He knows he's going to go for the points, keep that KM, and just just do it, just get it out of the way.
And so B-Flag knocking out the higher scoring of Jackson's available bingos. He still has one bingo that does play on the next turn for 66 points. I'm certain he's going to see it, and chat has already given it away. So I will go ahead and say iodation through the A and updating is Jackson's playable bingo. Again, no doubt Jackson knows and sees this word. These are two of the top players in the country, or in the continent rather, as they're both Canadians. So no doubt, no doubt these high probability bingos will be found. Iodation to come down for Jackson. He'll take some time. He'll make sure there's no higher scoring bingo or more defensive bingo, but iodation actually the only one that'll fit for him.
And we see it coming down. No hesitation. These guys know what they're doing. They've studied their words. This is a game of just pure skill.
Yeah. I mean, they know exactly what to do. These haven't been particularly tough turns. If you know the word, you definitely play the word. But also, you have to know the words. You have to have the anagramming to do it. Josh kind of shaking his head back and forwards. Okay, Jackson, you can stop now, please.
And yet the scores remain not too far apart, about 100 points now. Sokol just being 101 points behind, he can come back with a good hefty scoring play. Something like just milk would be a good idea, making KI, I think, tripling that K both ways. Just something as simple as that is going to put him back in the game.
Yeah. Lots of cool options here. Milk scores a ton of points, 36 points, forming KI. DUM is the leave there. It'll be his highest scoring option, but several other neat plays as well. The cool word dinkum, DINKUM, plays through the blank and an iodation. It does some favorable things for the board, keeps even more bingo lines available in a game where Josh is down. And holds LM, which is certainly a better leave than DMU. He's also got the cool Mamluk, MAMLUK, plays through the A and airwaves. It's 28 points, holds DI, but come on, man. How many times in your life are you going to be able to play Mamluk like that? Especially on a stream? Hey, if nothing else,
that is a word and a half.
Content, right?
So. Right, very much so. And, I don't know about you, but boards like these, they're so tough to work through, not just because of how you may pick up your tiles, but also how many options you have for the tiles that you have. If you have lower scoring tiles, can you get higher points from them? And then when you have clunky tiles, when you have a K and you have all these consonants and a U, what can you possibly do to maximize your score when the board is so open and there's so many scoring opportunities? You have to spend so much time looking at every single part of the board, every quadrant and every little part where your score might double or triple, which is why even a play like Milk might be hard to see.
Yeah. I mean, just so many places to look. Both players are very high on time for this stage of the game. Only 49 tiles unseen already, even though we've only had a few moves. That's what happens when you play 7 tiles almost every turn. But yeah, no, milk is something Josh will see. It's just you really want to take your time, make sure you find every option, and then choose the best one from them. And just so many options. I bet Josh wishing Paul Mulik's last name MULIK were valid, as that'd be a great way for him to break up this rack and score well in the process.
You know what I think? I think maybe playing UMM, just instead of milk here, making MIMO. Might not be a bad idea here, because he goes down with milk just because I think that it might be a great idea to have that K for the other scoring spots on this board, but that's okay. Milk is a high scoring, his highest scoring play. So I am not surprised at all to see that come down.
Yeah, another merit to UMM, I kind of like what it does to the board a bit better than what Milk does. I think it makes it slightly easier for Josh to bingo down the road, especially with a bunch of E's unseen. Holding that ILK together could be rather strong. But unfortunately for Josh, Jackson's going to have another huge play through the N and iodation. He's got Jangle or Jangler. Both are valid. and that's going to score just a bunch of points yet again for Jackson.
What would
Jangle 42, Jangler 44.
Yeah, what would you do here, Matt? Would you keep that R for 2 fewer points? Would you do Jangle keeping RS, or would you do Jangler just keeping the S?
So I would definitely want to look at the unseen pool before I make this decision. 45 tiles unseen to Jackson, 2 Ds, 1 R, and 2 S's are the hooks that could go on the end. That's 5 hooks out of 45 unseen, whereas I know for sure I'm holding onto an R or an S to hit the spot. Given that Josh can't bingo underneath, I think I have a slight preference to just jangle, try to draw like an F or a P and hit more points again the next turn. But really, I think it could go either way on this one. And Jackson electing to play the R there, staring at it. No. Okay, he's hit his clock. I think
There's
it could go
nothing.
either way.
Right. I think I would have preferred to play Jangle as well, or perhaps just Jog, because I really like the leave there. But I think this is perfectly fine. He's going for, his highest scoring play here. He's doing what he needs to do to stay ahead. And that is what you will usually see with these top players.
Yeah. I think Jog is a trap here. At this score, Jackson can't make that play. In a tighter game, perhaps you could consider it. But we've already seen 2 different games on stream this tournament where a player with a lead gets caught up with these nice, beautiful leaves, AELRS type leaves, fishes and foregoes points, and then misses a bingo and loses the game. So if you're Jackson, the last thing you want to do is that.
Well, I mean, I might disagree in this case, just because I think that fishing can get addictive. Yes, if you play 1 or 2 tiles and you do so, 3 times in a row, yes, you are unlikely to win that game because you've lost all these turns where you could have been scoring 30 to 40 points. But at the same time, Jog is not a terrible score. It's not like it's a 10-point score or a 7-point score. And the leave is well enough to work quite flexibly on this board, which is as open as it is. The likelihood of Jackson getting a bingo down on this board is not higher if he does fish.
Yeah, it appears Josh is holding Jangler. Jackson yet to draw his tiles. He's actually welcome to with the courtesy draw, and it seems like he is choosing not to for one reason or another. I've seen Josh do this before in the past. I don't know that there's a huge tactical advantage one way or the other. Perhaps some mind games going on. Perhaps Jackson just choosing not to. I don't know. But he is going to be drawing his tiles now, and he's mixing them, which means Josh has correctly accepted this play rather than letting Jackson just draw courtesy tiles. Josh having some cool plays here. Murid through the R in Jangler, MURID, sets up a D that he can bingo to. And in this situation, in this score, with a huge deficit like he has, you want that 90, 95-point bingo coming down to a D. So Murid does great things for Josh for the board. Similar play is D-Gum, D-E-G-U-M, through the G in Jangler. That slots an M in a triple line, which Jackson is going to be almost forced to block next turn. So both of those, I think, are good plays in terms of keeping Josh's chances alive.
Wait, Matt, I'm sorry. Could you repeat what word you said through the E in Jangler?
It's through the G in Jangler. It'd be D-Gum.
Oh, wow. That is quite a find, sir. And this is why we have you commentating all the games.
This is why we have me sitting here on Quackle talking about the games. I can't take credit for spotting all this. I just look at the options and tell you what I think I might do if I had perfect word knowledge and perfect board vision.
Amazing. I don't mind the play of Human making Kid. I think that's a good play, keeping just your ER. It's, it scores well. It's a good leave. I wouldn't, if I were in this position, I wouldn't mind playing something like Humid, but I do like the idea where Murid sets up that D for bingo to the triple. That's a really good idea. That strategically, that is perhaps something that Josh needs to consider. But maybe even just MURED, Mured, might be good here. HIR, I think, could do well just because there's only 2 I's left unseen to him and many E's for him to pick up.
Yeah, several E's unseen, 6 of them left for for Josh to draw rather after a play like that. So Murid or Mirrored both sort of make sense for him to play. And the decision on Jackson to play Jangle versus Jangler, well, if he just plays Jangle, Josh gets to play Mirrored, do the same thing, but score a whole bunch more points in the process. So, we both thought we preferred Jangle a little bit, but Jangler, Jackson's decision, working out swimmingly for him. You like the play of Humid. I don't think anybody else would like Humidity right now, as it's 120 or so in Vegas, or 48-ish Celsius for those of you
Oof.
not using the American system of temperature. So, yeah,
And
Josh going
Mirror
to go with
does come
Mirrored
down.
here. I like this idea.
Perfectly fine play. Yep.
Yeah, perfectly fine play, keeps his long-term chances open, and he'll be reliant on
Mhm.
drawing a bingo pretty quickly to get back in this game. But of course, that's the case when you're down over 100 points.
And Jackson here is stuck with an insanely strange rack. He's got an S, he's got an X, a Z. What do you even do here? I think perhaps playing off his X here is a good idea. Perhaps just EX and XI in the hotspot that Josh just made with Murid. Wouldn't be, I don't think it'd be too terrible. But he also has Zax's ZAXES through the A and airwaves on the top of the board. I wonder if he wants to get rid of his ZXES all in one go, however. There are two S's left unseen, so he does have the opportunity to pick those up.
Strangely, my favorite play right here might actually be Zen and KIN. It's way down there in terms of equity, but if I can pick up one of the 4 unseen O's and drop Cox alongside Jangler right now, that's game over. I've knocked out many of the best spots. I've scored a ton of points, and that C is going to stop us from working to the top side of the board. It's a bit of a stretch to draw one of those 4 O's, but it could be an absolute game changer. Jackson, though, I think making a perfectly reasonable decision here. You don't want Josh to bingo down to that D. You score a bunch of points, and you hold tiles that are going to score well for you next turn. EX, I think, is the right thing to do. Zen, very cute, likely wrong. But yeah, good choice by Jackson. And Josh needing to draw a bingo, not even close now. AEHHORV. I don't know how many times you can do HHV, but yeah, not often.
This is a tough play. I mean, perhaps just getting rid of OH somewhere, perhaps like OH on column N, just, JOOH. He gives himself that triple lane again. Perhaps something like that. I mean, Josh really does need to be aggressive here. He really does need to open up chances on this board where he can come back with a bingo that's going to score pretty well. I mean, a 66-point bingo is not what he needs right now. He needs something that's 70 or 80 points, So maybe OH, which scores perfectly, fine, it's 35 points. That's quite decent. Would not be a terrible idea, keeping AEHRV.
Yeah, you have to keep this board alive to have any life. The sequitur spot, you don't have it now, but 3 unseen S's, you can assume more or less you're going to draw one. And if you don't, you're going to lose this game anyway. So I think OH is a great way to keep this board open for one more turn while scoring 35 and keeping yourself quite in bingo range. Yeah, there are 6 unseen E's. Yeah, Jackson's probably going to block that line. But if you don't give him a new line to block, he's just going to block the lines that you're trying to bingo in the process. So OH seems like a good play. The other option maybe from the W in airwaves is WHARVE, WHARVE. But I like OH quite a bit more. You need a bingo now, and you need to draw another bingo before this game ends to catch back up. And OH, I think, going to allow you to do that better than any other play here. Scorebug looks a little bit behind, so I'll update y'all manually. We've got Josh 291 and Jackson 374 coming into Jackson's turn, where he holds CELSSNV.
So what do we even do here now with Jackson having only 1 vowel on his rack, and he can't block that line. He can't block the triple yet. I see he has CESS set up aside on his rack. I think he's thinking of playing AHS JOE for CESS for 34. He can block that technically, but perhaps not for as great as leave as he would like. Perhaps just cells, CELS, and sequiturs might be better, giving him a better leave. But I can imagine. Oh, so he just set it on his rack. I can imagine him, considering the strategy of, do I even want to give Josh the chance to hit this triple?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm Jackson, I'm looking at what is a bigger threat to me. Yeah, Sequitur's plays will score a lot, and plays along the triple hooking JO both score quite a bit. But unseen 1S and a boatload of E's plus a T and a J to back hook JO. Clearly, the bigger threat in terms of likelihood that Josh hits it is the O column on the right side. However, you're going to have to burn both of your S's to block it. CESS, just about the only reasonable way to block that line.
There
And then you're
may
not
be
moving
another
your last S
way.
for Sequitur.
There may be another way. Perhaps if he were to do SEZ says, making AHS, he doesn't get to use the triple, but Josh doesn't get to use it either.
Ooh.
SEZ would be 20 points, not the 34 that Sess would give him, but it does block that triple.
I like that. CLNS, maybe not a superb leave, but of the 32 unseen tiles, 16 are vowels. We're rather vowel heavy in the unseen pool, and CLNS not likely to backfire on you. If you do pick up 3 consonants, Josh almost certainly sitting on a bunch of vowels, or if he bingos, he will draw all vowels next turn. So I like that play of SEZ. That's sneaky. You wouldn't think to play down. You would think to hit that big glowing red square.
Exactly.
And yet, I like that play quite a bit.
Oh,
Jackson, though, playing Cess here.
Perfectly safe and perfectly reasonable. A good scoring play that blocks your biggest threat. I completely understand why he would do this.
And even should Josh bingo, you use that Z to score points. You're already up 110. Josh's best bingos will score about 90 for him. You hit the Z, you're still at 40 or 50. It's likely your game to lose. So it's hard to lose after a play like that. Maybe says a missed opportunity. Maybe not. I'm not good enough to tell you these answers. Jackson and Josh are some of the only players in the room who are. So I'll defer to him and his wisdom. But I thought that was sneaky. SEZ, nice find, Nits.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. What do you think about playing Warv for Josh now? I mean, you suggested it earlier. What do you? Oh, well, that appears to be Haven coming down. Okay,
You know
that's
why he's
definitely.
playing this. He is setting
I
up.
was wondering.
He is setting up the
Great.
final S. He doesn't have it, but hey, if Jackson knocks out the Sequitur's spot, Josh needs another one, and you have to assume you're getting lucky to win this game. You've got to draw that S, or you're dead anyway. Set it
And
up,
now,
open another huge spot. Really creative, clever play by Josh. I like it quite a bit. And Haven over
right.
Haver both take the front S, but 3 unseen N's, 1 unseen R, or 0 unseen R's rather. So Josh not going to double up his R's. Really nice creative play. And while he doesn't draw the S he needs, he will pick up orangey here. So that's something.
You have to be thinking, you have to be shaking in your boots just a little bit if you are Jackson Smylie, because if the bingo comes down making Shaven, that is a high scoring bingo. That is assuming that Josh has very cleverly kept an S on his rack, the only S that is left unseen. And now Jackson he has to play under Haven. He has to block that spot.
Yeah, and yet it's tough to because of where the V is. It's tough to score a reasonable amount of points and do that. Now Jackson with the Z on his rack can do just that. He can play ZIN underneath, but that's at
And
the
leaving the
expense
Z.
of a lot of equity and leaving a pretty bad unbalanced leave in AALP. So can Jackson survive the devastating 100-point bingo with Shaven? Should he just play something like Izar or Lazar down to the R in Sequitur, or does he need to forego a lot of points now to try and block the devastating play? Tough decision for
Right.
Jackson here, and I wonder what he's going to do.
Very much so. I think perhaps he has to be calculating, can he outrun the bingo that Josh will play on him? Can he score enough points with the Z or with whatever he's going to play, and also be in a good position to outrun that bingo? And I do think that maybe playing Lazar or Izar, as you suggested, is not a bad idea. You know, these are scores that will that are hefty. This is 33, 34 points. And they keep a good, respectable leave for good scoring plays next turn. Playing Zin, however, is not going to allow for Jackson to score as well next time. So Lazar, you know, he's setting that up on his rack right now. I think he's making that consideration where he's like, can I just outrun the bingo?
Yeah, outrunning definitely, I think, a thing Jackson should think long and hard about. If you're going to play down to the R, I think I'd prefer Izar, Izar, to Lazar. Now, Izar does take a front S, and obviously we're worried about S's on this board, but if Josh has an S, he's playing it with Shaven. I'm not super worried
Right.
about Izar, and I do like that I'm retaining an A to play alongside Izar next turn, set myself up, and try to score a good amount of points on my subsequent play. If we're shooting to outrun, we got to make sure we can run. We got to make sure we're scoring points this turn and next turn.
Exactly. I like that. I like that. There are, of course, 23 unseen tiles for Jackson, so the game is far from over. We're not even in the pre-end game. There's quite a lot of, I would say, variance in this game still left to be had. And for him to play Lazar, it's certainly not a bad idea at all.
Yeah, it looks like that's what Jackson wants to do. It's tough to pull the trigger on this play. You know, you're obviously going to feel stupid if you get bingoed on for 100. We at home comfortably know that that's not going to happen. Jackson could also consider PHIZ through the H. That's another way to
Oh,
spot.
oh,
Uh,
I like that.
yeah,
Oh, that's
yeah. It's
great.
just if you're trying to score points, you don't want to hold on to AALN necessarily, because if you draw all one pointers, no bingos, how do I outrun you when my letters don't give me any points next turn?
Exactly. These are all 1 point tiles. Perhaps keeping the P in this case would be smarter, but we do see Lazar come down. I like it. I think this is a good play. Maybe Izar, as you mentioned, may have been slightly better, but this is a perfectly, smart play for Jackson to have put down.
Unfortunately, Lazar does give back a better bingo. Josh already sitting on Orangery, a place where oranges are grown, but the L gives Josh a higher scoring bingo of year long for 76. And that's going to be devastating for Jackson. It floats an end bingo through, it keeps the second row alive, and Shaven is still there. So unless Jackson draws an S here, this game is about to get very, very interesting. And a couple of garbage consonants, no S for
Oh,
Jackson. And if year long comes down, whoa,
then
Josh
Josh
likely to
Sokol
play
is the
an S.
favorite with the S. Yeah.
Whoa, okay. So
Oh, oh,
Josh
oh, oh.
showing us how to stay alive here. Get tripled on bingo, bango, bongo with the triple, and yet Josh definitely with a fighting chance. This will put him down 396 to 442 as Jackson sitting on a Drecky Rack CFINPTW. Hang on, folks. If Josh draws an S bingo here, this is going to be really interesting.
That'd be quite the game. Already an extremely high scoring game with Josh Sokol at 396 and Jackson at 442, I imagine. And oh, he's got whipped already ready on his rack. I believe that's his one of his highest scoring plays through the H in Haven that would attempt to stop those S bingos. I think that's a good idea. The other option I can see for him is playing CINQ to the Q in Sequitur. That is another high scoring play. Terrible, terrible leave. So I think whipped is a perfectly good idea here.
So look at the unseen pool for Jackson. There are 12 in the bag, or 12 unseen, 5 in the bag, and yet Jackson likely looking at this pool, trying to figure out what sevens Josh could have drawn into the shaven spot. I'll let the chat try to figure out how many there are.
And this is where your word knowledge really comes into play.
You know what? I'm too impatient for this. I want to make the point I'm trying to make. The answer is 0. There are no sevens in the unseen pool. The only possible bingos Josh could have drawn are Beduins from the B for 86 or Idonius through the N for 61. So actually, while it looks super obvious Jackson must block Shaven to win this game, that is not a threat. That is not a concern. It is impossible with what is in the bag. And Jackson likely going to take some time, figure this out. And you can see he's looking now instead at Waft. He can't be beaten by a shaven bingo because he can't be beaten by something that doesn't exist. And Jackson is good enough to look at 12 tiles and rattle off possible bingos in there, especially when so many are duplicates, like in this unseen pool.
So his consideration now has to be, what is he going to play, knowing that he's always keeping some amount of consonants, some really tough consonants on his rack, and what will he draw into? Because he has to play this endgame out without being stuck with ridiculous tiles that he can't do anything with.
Yeah, no, this is interesting. Jackson definitely taking
Yeah.
his time here. Whipped, looks like a play you need to make. He's gone back to it now, and yet I don't know if this gives back any other bingos. A bingo now ending in a vowel would play, but I don't see one in the pool either.
Yeah, I really like Whipped as a play. I think it scores well. And, if he has any fears about any bingo that he's missing, I mean, during time considerations, during this pressure, it can be hard to be absolutely 100% sure that I haven't missed a bingo. It's a good idea to play Whipped. It's good points and it does the blocking that he wants. In fact, it blocks any sort of super high scoring, I think, S plays that Josh could have had.
Jackson rightfully using almost all of his time here. He wants to make sure he does what he thinks helps him win the game the most. A 50-point lead now with some clunky consonants. A bingo could be devastating news for him. Waft is the right play for Jackson to make here. It's just a really hard one to make. You have to be absolutely certain you're not going to get hit by a shaven bingo. You also need to make sure you're not going to get outrun.
Yeah, I don't know if Waft is the only correct play here. I think Whipped does the job perfectly well. Perhaps even something like Picot that we saw with Deldar very recently, just Picot through the O in year long. I think these are all perfectly fine plays that are going to just win him the game.
Yeah, does whipped beat be doing every time? Does it beat be doing some of the time? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it scores enough.
In which case, I think it would be a good idea for him to go for the points. But I really don't think there's anything that Josh can do to have a bingo here.
Yeah, chat agreeing. I think not blocking Bedoins is just about the only way to lose this game, barring falling over at the table or playing like IT and drawing more terrible letters or something. Most reasonable plays will win you this game, but Bedoins is the one killer you have to watch out for. Sneaky, sneaky, not the play you think that's going to kill you.
Tense moment as Jackson tries to figure out his next move.
Yeah, these positions are super important pre-end game. What can my opponent have? Of course, players in tournament Scrabble do track all of the tiles as they're being played. Players all carry score sheets with all 100 tiles, and as letters get put on the board, they check them off. So Jackson, with perfect knowledge of what's in the bag, and he's got to take advantage.
He also has to go back and make sure that he's not actually missing anything.
Yeah, it takes a special level of confidence to make sure you're not missing or seeing anything. Just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not there. Um, but Jackson, I think the caliber of player and the confident, coming off a huge tournament victory in World Cup, he's probably got the confidence. Although we saw Jackson do some really weird stuff yesterday, a very uncharacteristic mistakes. So who knows?
Yeah, I don't think being under the camera and the limelight is the easiest for everyone. I think it's easy to make mistakes when you're under the pressure of knowing, okay, everyone is looking at what I'm doing. I think, yeah, Waft is it's a strategic play. He gets it down. And now it's up to Josh to see what he can do.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of this, and I think this is quite instructional for everybody at home. It's so easy to make the play of whipped there. It makes perfect sense. It's wrong. And Jackson, one of the few players who's going to sit there, think all of this out, figure out worst case scenario and stop it from happening. Very, very few players make that play. Jackson won. I bet Josh sitting across the table is one of the only other ones who would likely go that far and that in depth with their analysis. And yet stuff like this is very important. This is the reason these guys are 9-2 and nobody else is. Jackson finding, I'm 98% to win this game, but I've got to make sure that 2% doesn't happen. I've got to make that 100%. And that's what he's just done. And optimize every percentage point every game. That's what separates the grand masters from the regular masters.
We have someone in the chat, Wolfram, asking, no one-tile fishes possible. At this point, it would be interesting to see if doing the one-tile fish would even let the final bingo catch up. If it would be enough to match or outrun the opponents. So I really don't know. Perhaps just, maybe just YE, on top of big flag to also score and maybe draw, something from the bag. Don't know, because the way that Josh sees the pool is, he has a lot more tiles, different tiles available. He has the P available, he has the C available. These are bingos that are going to score a lot more than 1 point tile bingos.
Josh also trying to make a degree of inference about Jackson's play. What does waft mean? Does waft mean you had 7 consonants? Why on earth did you not block shaven here? What is wrong with you, Jackson? And we saw Jackson play Pika yesterday and not block his own setup and not see his own setup. But if I'm Josh, I think probably that means Jackson's leave might have just been CNNP, which means I'm picking up 2 more vowels on this turn. Is there any way I can bingo if I draw 2 vowels on this turn? If Jackson didn't have 7 consonants, then either he's made a really uncharacteristic mistake or he knows that I can't draw any bingos and I'm in trouble.
So what would you do here, Matt? Would 2 tiles in the bag, would you play 2 tiles and be done, or would you try and do a 1-tile fish hoping for a bingo?
I think I'd play YOWE. It's 43.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. Maybe if I draw a really great outplay with shaven, I'm trying to see what it could be, but I'd hold DEES. If I can draw a 6 that threatens shaven for like a 40-point out, maybe I sneak up and win this game, or at least I, make it very respectable, make it 10 points. But I don't think I'm winning this game, not at this point. I don't think there's anything left that I can fish for. I'd be looking through the N to see if there's, Doyens, DOYENNES, or something similar.
Right.
But nothing quite fits there. I think I would throw in the towel, but that's something I would only do against Jackson, because anybody else, I don't think, would think through this position quite as much. Donese, DONNEES, technically possible on an II draw, or an NN draw, but Jackson would have blocked a spot probably if he saw that I could play that.
We do also have to keep in mind that Jackson is not a computer. He is a human capable of making mistakes. And this is a point where we can hope that your opponent will, make a mistake in the end game, or they've mistracked and something goes awry, so that you're able to win an unwinnable game. And this wouldn't be the first time during this tournament that we would see something like that, where that assured victory kind of, goes away because of a miscalculated end game play. So maybe playing Yao for 43 is a perfectly fine idea, because it gives, Jackson the opportunity to perhaps make an unlikely mistake, and then Josh can come back with a higher scoring play and outrun.
Yeah, if I can pick up, I'm trying to see what I could pick up that would threaten big shaven plays. I need probably the P to score points and to stop Jackson from scoring points. But I'm not seeing a word I can threaten. Maybe depose if I pick up PO. Depose would be a threatening outplay. Would that be enough to win? Yao would put me down by 23 points. Depose would score very well. Jackson would have to forego a lot of points to block it. and then maybe I can threaten a second out somewhere. Is there any way that that sequence helps me win? But if I determine that I'm 0% to win this game no matter what, then what's the point? Let me just minimize spread. Let me play Yao.
Right.
Again, the play of Waft, I think, can give Josh just an absolute boatload of information. Or maybe he's hoping Jackson derped and made a mistake. He's going to play AYE here, go for maybe a potential bingo I can draw. That makes sense. Again, from Jackson's perspective, we know there was nothing. That's why he didn't block. But Josh has to hope maybe Jackson missed one or something. You play to win the game. That makes sense. YE going to come down. Jackson with CEIINPU means Josh is going to pick up DEENOOS. Yeah, there it is. And no bingos for Josh. He has to know that it's not there. And he'll just sit and wait. Surely Jackson, maybe he'll take a second to double check his tracking, but Jackson just going to play something like Upnik, I believe is good. Upnik, EUPNEIC through the NE. I don't know. He's got options.
Even just pin under Haven is fine, I think, Or,
yeah. I think the big thing,
Huick, maybe something like that.
Yeah, make sure you can go out in 2 if possible. Address the shaven hook, even though you're not going to get bingoed on there. You still don't want to give Josh those points.
Right.
Yeah. I think this game is done. This game was done as soon as Jackson saw there were no bingos in the pool and decided to block big do-ins. But what a neat game. Both of these players showing us the game's not over until the game is over. It's easy to throw in the towel after you get hit with Brattier and 2 blank bingos for Josh. And yet he did everything he could, kept this board open and dynamic, kept himself in reach, mirrored a great play, Haven a super cool play to create chances for him when many players, I think, would have thrown in the towel in this instance.
Exactly.
So just an absolute clinic. A lot to be learned from both of these players and the way they played. And that is precisely why they're sitting here, both at 9-2 and atop the NWL division at the Scrabble Players Championship.
A beautiful game, very beautifully done. This play, of course, gives Josh the chance to play soon, I think, SOON for a lot of points. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that coming down quite quickly. This is such an explosive game. So much that's happening. So many bingos traded, and that triple coming down instantaneously. Not even, the 7 tiles didn't even touch Jackson's rack before the tiles were on the board, and it was a 149-point play. It was insane. It just really goes to show the caliber of the players who were at this tournament. This tournament is made up of the best of the best. This is why they're there.
Absolutely. Yep. And that's why y'all are here watching this as well. And that's why we're here to stream it, because this is a gift, man. This is some excellent high level Scrabble. And I'm glad y'all are here to share it with us.
I'm kind of surprised.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I'm kind of surprised that Jackson didn't play Chine, because then at least, he would have had, I believe, an out in 2.
We're trying to see where PIU would have gone down.
Is NEP not a word?
NEP is not valid in NWL. Yep. And now Josh, a little bit of spread lost, I think, here by Jackson on that end game. Chin definitely not the top choice of Quackle, but it's fine. It's little bit spread in a game that Jackson has used almost all of his time. And I think he used the time in the proper places here as well.
He's won quite decisively. Wow.
Actually, PIE sticks Jackson with the U. So Josh can actually play for a U stick here. The only spot Jackson can go out is NU or UM, both right next to updating. So Josh can just plunk his E, making either EM or NE, and slow play this end game as Jackson will be forced to pass. So neat. See if Josh thinks of that. He's definitely taking his time on this turn as well, looking for places Jackson can play that U. Jackson definitely missed playing this end game.
It's okay. He used his brains when he needed to, and he blocked Bedouins. He made sure there were no bingos that could go down. He did his due diligence.
Yeah, so Josh now, I think he's going to take the time. I think he'll find the stick. He's giggling about it. Jackson, did you stick yourself? Yes. Do I play it here? Do I play it there? They both score 4. But Josh is going to find the cue stick, leave Jackson at a nice, firm 500 points, and Josh will nibble his way up. It won't quite be enough, but it will bring him very, very close. He can drop his E down for 20 points with WE and EF, putting him at 476. And then the D is also going to be able to go down for some points as well. So this is going to be what actually a very close game for Josh after Jackson sticks himself. DAHS available for 11 on top of IOG.
Oh my gosh.
So Josh is actually going to be able to make this an 11-point game. I love
Of course, he does the secretary. Oh my gosh.
Of course. Jackson can't,
He can't do anything.
Josh not even getting up to go to the computer. Yeah, why not? It is free. Absolutely free to try this play. Jackson forced to pass. I wouldn't be surprised if we see D-Jangler next turn or Year-Longed. Why not? This
is very much for the entertainment of the viewers. So I hope you guys are enjoying this because now we just
Yeah, thank you for the content, Josh. He'll plunk the E, Jackson to pass again, and let's see D sequitur, just D sequitur this time, Josh. Give us more content. Get up, take your long, slow walk over to the computer. Give us more content. Do it for the meme. Do it for the trolls. Just kidding. So Josh down to 18 seconds, looking for the best place to plunk the D. He has found it, and wow. We're going to end up with a score of 489 to 500. Oh, wow. As you can see, Jackson immediately looking things up on his phone, or perhaps Josh on that was. As
you've had those moments, haven't you? Like the second you're done with a game, you're like, I have to know, was this a word? Was this a word? Did I miss something?
Right.
Beautifully played. Yeah. The chat luckily pointed out that Puri could have been played had Jackson played CHINE, chine, so he wouldn't have stuck himself. But that's okay. The end game, was a great way for Josh Sokol to catch up on spread, but the win was very decisively Jackson's, and kudos to him. I mean, this is just, a representative of how well he played at World Cup, how well he plays now. He is, one of the best, and it is shown by the amount of time and dedication he spent just thinking about what bingos are left. What could possibly come up to kick me in the butt now? How can I possibly lose this game? And that is, that kind of permutation going through all the tiles and everything, that is tough. That is time consuming, and that is mentally draining. So it says a lot about them and a lot about their capacity.
Absolutely. What a wonderful game. Awesome to watch from both of these players. Really cool stuff. Slight botch on the end game. But wow. So Jackson, honestly, a really pathetic showing. He draws both blanks and a lucky triple and only wins by 11. Come on, Jackson, do better.
Oh just my kidding. Gosh, Matt, only you could say that.
Entirely sarcastic. Jackson and I are good friends. He knows I'm razzing him. And Jackson probably also happy to see that his phone not ringing right now means I don't see any mistakes or have any compelling questions that I need to ask him this game.
And now we see with the 87th game between Josh Sokol and Jackson Smylie that Jackson has come out ahead by 1 game. And I'm imagining a spread of, I don't know if they calculate the spread between them. I don't know if they keep track of that. But with this game, wow, only 11 points.
For what?
All right, we're going to see what Jackson and Josh are saying. We'll cut to our mic over the board. I'll quiet down for just a minute.
Yeah, from my perspective, the only thing I saw was Idonius and Bedouins. I didn't see a single 7 in the pool. Yeah, so it's like, I don't really care if leaving 2 let you fish, because I'm just confident there's nothing. Because, yeah, of course.
Jackson saying the only things I saw were Bedouins and Idonius. Am I good at my job? Yeah, perfect.
It's a weird 5 or 6 that like doesn't come up all the time. Dude, so I accidentally drawn 6 instead of 7. I drawn these as you laid it down, and then I went for the 7th. I was like already hoping for the I. Like I drew 6 tiles, I accidentally didn't draw one.
And then the I was
and then
7.
well, because then you started laying on the A, and I'm like, oh, I know I need an I immediately, and I drew the tile and it's I. So yeah, insane.
Awesome.
Can they hear us?
Yes, yes, we can hear them. Maybe we should let them know.
I think they're aware.
Oh,
Okay.
That's fine. Yeah. It's Sequitur takes Nest, right?
Sequitur, yeah. Too bad no non sequitur.
Game points. Holy shit.
Oh God, here it goes again. Yeah. Michael Bassett. All right. One for it.
All right, they're going to go ahead and square the tiles now. We'll cut away from the above board mic, but Jackson and Josh, two guys who are always happy to give a little post-mortem instructional. Again, Jackson hitting it exactly on the head. Only Beduins and Idonius unseen to him are really awesome tactical decisions by him. Waft came down for exactly why we thought. Wow, super, super cool game. Two great players. And yeah, I expect honestly to see at least one of these, if not both of these guys, in the finals of this tournament. I know a lot of Josh's fans watching him on stream regularly would like to see him there. And Jackson could go for the sweep, 10 grand at World Cup. Can he also win 10 grand in Vegas and pay off that new car completely? Oh, we will find out. Stay with us. We have two more games of Scrabble today. We're going to cut away to a brief intermission so I can figure out why my dog was screaming bloody murder. Sorry about that last game. But again, I'm Matt Canik, joined here by Nits Chagti, and we will have two more games of NWL action tonight, plus 14 more over the next 2 days and grand finals the day after that. Y'all don't go anywhere. We will be back in just a few short minutes with our next matchup.